Hey everybody, welcome to MSP Mountain, and today we have Stuart Crawford from Ulistic, and Ulistic is a MSP marketing company, and Stuart is a one-stop shop that you can go to for all of your MSP marketing needs. And I ran into Stuart on MSP Reddit a few weeks ago, and it was very interesting for me to see someone who does that, because my company helps MSPs with operations and staffing and all that stuff, and none of the marketing. So I wanted to talk to him. We had a good chat. He's also from Canada originally, living abroad in Florida, and I'm here in Europe. And well, why don't you just introduce yourself, Stuart, and you can tell us about what you do from top to bottom, how you're the one-stop shop that can help MSPs optimize their marketing operations, get new clients, and build the dream.
Great, Eric. Thanks for having me. So, Ulistic is 11 years old as of this month. We started in January 2010 in a crummy damp basement in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. A friend of mine, when I had my MSP, was my go-to website guy. I sold my MSP in 2008, or sold out of my MSP in 2008, and needed something to do. David came along and said, I got this idea for this company. He basically introduced it to me. We started off as kind of like a small business marketing consulting. I had at the time, no plans to work with MSPs. I was burnt out of the industry altogether. Just didn't want to do anything. And I actually had a dream of getting into aviation at the time, because I really loved planes and working in that industry. My son followed that dream. He's working for WestJet now, but David got me looped into Ulistic. We started it, and then a few of my MSP friends started calling me and say, "Hey, can you do what you did for IT Matters and do it for me?" And I said, "Yeah." And David said, "Well, I don't want to go in that direction." So I bought David out in September 2010, and the rest is history. We've relocated to Southern Ontario, and then eventually over to Buffalo, New York, and I'm now here in Central Florida. I've been here for about 4.5 years. Hey, the digital nomad kind of lifestyle, Ulistic doesn't actually have to be in one location, because all of our clients are global. So it doesn't matter physically where we're located, which is a nice thing to be at my stage of my life. But my background, Eric, was I came out of after serving a short career in the Canadian military, where I learned my IT craft. I went to work for a consulting firm in Calgary at the time. Learned, it's a funny story, because I got the job. The guy who was my boss at the time is still a good friend today with me. We got together in Fort Lauderdale, or not St. Pete last year, and had lunch because he was in town. And so he gave me an opportunity. He basically said, "Hey, Stuart, what do you know about Novell?" And I answered the question honestly. I said, "John, you know what? I know how to spell it. That's about it, right?" So he gave me a job as a Novell system administrator in Windows NT 351. That was in 1997. Worked for him for a couple of years, and eventually, in 2001, started the company IT Matters. I was at the place in my life where I wasn't too happy working for the company I was working at. I said, "Why am I working really hard for these bozos, like most of us have in our lives, right? Why can't I go do this for myself?" I approached a gentleman by the name of Tony Ma, and Tony convinced me to bring in another gentleman called Rob Hay. I wasn't really thinking about bringing Rob in at the time, but Tony said, "Hey, let's bring Rob in as well." So I said, "Okay, let's bring Rob in." And we started a company called IT Matters, and we grew that in 7.5 years to MSP, about $5.5 million in revenue, and 34 employees. And the reason why I say that, but the big aha moment, the big growth moment in that organization came in 2004. I joined Tech Select, which is part of the Tech Data partner community. I also joined HTG, or now what they call IT Nation Evolve. And I went to a conference in Southern California, and there was a gentleman speaking from the stage by the last name of Cunningham. And he said something that day from the stage that changed my life forever. And he basically said, quote unquote, this: "Your company needs to shift from being what you do to being a marketing and sales company that markets and sells what you do."
Yeah.
So I immediately came back to Calgary, all super pumped, and said to my two partners, I said, today we're now a marketing and sales company that markets and sells IT services. And with that shift in 2004, we had almost $1 million top line revenue growth. I think we're just shy like 900 and something thousand in 1 year. And people say, well, yeah, you were in Calgary. Oil was $1.50 a barrel, $150 a barrel at the time. Life was good. I said, yeah, it was good for us, and it was good for every one of our competitors.
Yeah.
We all have the same marketplace. And this is where I start pushing back on MSPs, you know, especially in the last year, Eric, when they say, well, you know, coronavirus really hurt my business. Well, if coronavirus hurt your business, but why were some businesses growing by 30 or 40% last year?
Yeah, because they had, you know, we had this, in April and stuff, you know, some clients, their clients couldn't really afford to pay them anymore, so they had to, you know, scale back on the contractors we had on their contract, and it kind of just sounded like, you know, they weren't the best clients for us, and they probably had some not the best clients as well, and they hadn't built a solid business, right? So, and they hadn't built a solid offering and, you know, solid, you know, brand, and so yeah.
So in the summer of 2019, I read a book called The Pumpkin Plan, written by a gentleman by Mike. His name is Mike McAllowitz. He ran an IT service firm in New Jersey for MSPs. And the book is great. I highly recommend anybody in business read it. But what I learned from the Pumpkin Plan was, you know, basically the story was, how do these New Jersey farmers grow these colossal pumpkins? While other people can't grow normal pumpkin. They really struggle with it. And the lesson learned was, you focus on your big pumpkins and you kill off all the other smaller pumpkins that rob the ground of their nutrients. And he put that in the business approach was, focus on your best clients. Who are your best clients, and kill off all the others. So we did something like that. We fired 40 clients in the summer of 2019. Just done, right? Gone. And we replaced the revenue from those 40 clients with 7.
Yeah, it's like you have to call the people up and say that we don't want your $500 a month anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a tough. You know what? It was a tough call to make. A lot of people were upset and angry with me.
Yeah, they take it personally, you know, somehow.
Some people said, "Yeah, I know what you're doing, but I can't believe you're pumpkin planting me." Well, you're a small. Unfortunately, at this time, you're a small pumpkin. But what I realized going into coronavirus, Eric, was that all those small pumpkins, the ones I still had, were the ones that called me and said, yeah, Stuart, I can't afford to pay my bill this month. Mm-hmm. And the big pumpkins, you know what they did? What every smart MSP did last year, they doubled down on marketing. They went more aggressive in marketing.
Yep.
And
because
that's
people
where
had more time, you know?
We were able, we were able to focus more on those MSPs that were marketing and sales organizations first, whatever they did second. So almost all of all the clients I work with, that's one of the litmus tests I run them through is the first question in every interview I said, can you describe to me what your firm is? And most of them start off this way. Well, we're a managed service provider. We provide technical services. And I usually go, okay, I'll keep that in the back burner. But what I'm looking for is that, yeah, we're a marketing and sales company that markets and sells managed services. Those are the ones that I'm looking for.
Okay, so let's start from, because I go on all these websites all the time of MSPs when I'm getting on the sales calls with them. So I can get a sort of scope them out and see what their presentation is like and all that stuff. Lots of them look really the same, and basically
it's incest.
Yeah. So starting from the kernel of sort of brand identity, core values, the promise to the clients, how would you coach an MSP to be unique in the market? How would you tell them how to stand out and how to get those high ticket good clients that they want, and sort of stand out in the market, knowing that these clients are constantly getting bombarded with offers from every MSP in town?
Yeah, interesting question. And I kind of started this way is that, if you want to know what you do best, ask your best clients. Sit down with them and say, what do you really appreciate about what we do for you? And they'll tell you, they'll be honest. They'll say, they'll tell you that everything that you need to know. And most of the time you'll find out is this. we really appreciate the attention to the service that you give us.
Mm-hmm.
That, when we call, you're on it right away. That kind of stuff. That's what people are really, really hungry for. The stuff that you do afterwards, like your VoIP and your business continuity and your security and all, your Microsoft direct routing. I just had a call with a person that mentioned that, being a core deliverable for them. That's all secondary or tertiary. Those are things that you do that's important to the client, but they don't see that. What you have to focus on is, it's kind of like
the benefit.
Well, no, it's how you make them feel.
Yeah.
Not
the features, the benefit of, yeah.
Yeah. And benefits, and I call it benefits and feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So, people want to trust their IT provider. When they need them, they want them to be there and available to them. They don't want to have to wait for service. And that's, and when you build up your marketing, that's what you have to focus on. Because every other MSP out there is focusing on, the speeds and feeds, right? They're all doing the same business continuity plan, or the same, they're going to Datto and getting, marketing done by them, or something like that. And they're all repurposing the same content, or they're getting vendor produced content and slapping their logo on it.
Yeah.
You really got to focus on what matters to your clients and how do you make them feel, and really exploit that. And then that comes on your website. One of the things, and I understand both sides of the equation, Eric, really, is that a lot of, there's two. I used to really push back and say, well, if you don't have testimonials on the front page of your website, people are just going to go to the next company. Now, some of them have a valid argument and say, we don't want to put our clients on there because all the cyber criminals are going out there and, using that as a gateway. If we know we run this particular RMM and there's a vulnerability there, they're going to try to exploit our clients. And I get the concerns there, but also put on your business development hat and say, if you have 4 or 5 glowing testimonials from people that I can pick up the phone and call, the chance of me doing business with you is so much higher. Versus ones that kind of hide behind this cloak of anonymity where you see them. They go to your website and say, company did such a great job. Joe P, corporate controller.
Yeah.
How do I know that's true? Because here's the other side of the argument is, I can go on Google or LinkedIn or Facebook or any other platform and leave a review about you right now.
Yeah.
You can't stop me.
Yeah.
So why not use those people on your website?
Exactly. So and video is one of the most powerful ways to do testimonials, I think, in this day and age. It's a must. If you have someone who's going to stand up and say, this is our experience and this is the feeling, it conveys so much more, right?
Oh, of course. I can talk about video forever. If an MSP is not doing video right now, they're way behind. I'm talking years behind their competitors.
Yep.
Video is a must. I don't know about you, but I consume hours of YouTube every single day.
Yeah, me too.
And I watch people like Nomad Capitalist, who we talked about, and
and
other shows like that. But what starts before I run every one of those videos is now YouTube they're putting 2 commercials in front of a video now, not just one.
Yeah.
And the big boys are in there now too. So the big brands are in there on YouTube advertising. So this is a way that you can compete against the big brands. So you can have your YouTube advertising show up there right next to IBM or Dell or Microsoft or whoever. And nice thing about the video advertising is it can only show in your geography if you want it to.
Yep. And on the videos that you think your audience is interested in.
Correct. Yep. So if you're going after small businesses, why not target other small business type of videos and those people that produce the same type of content?
Yep, exactly. I mean, YouTube is just, and you put your face on there explaining your business, and people get a sense for who you are as a business owner, how you explain things. And you know, since I started doing that for my business a couple of years ago, it just got so much easier because people will get in the sales call with you if you're the owner or whatever, and they'll feel like they already know you, you know, because
Correct. Yeah.
they've built a connection with you through the video, and it's just so powerful. And so I remember we talked about something which I find very interesting, and you sort of alluded to it on getting rid of the lousy clients. But how does an MSP position itself as a premium provider versus, you know, lots of MSPs are pitching and sort of trying to undercut the competition, spend less money. You know, I always said, this is something I tell some of my MSPs, like when we're talking about marketing, is like, if I were to own an MSP, seeing what I've seen, running my own IT support company in Toronto when I used to do it, I would tell, my pitch, if I was doing cold calling, is I would call up and say, we're going to charge you twice as much as your existing IT provider. Would you like to hear some more? Because I used to charge, you know, when people around the neighborhood were charging $50 an hour, I was charging 85, just because I knew the people who would hire me would respect me more. So how does an MSP get into that sort of premium class of IT support provider and sort of emphasize the values that we're going to take care of you. We're not going to hide behind, 4-hour SLAs and stuff like that? How to communicate that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I'll kind of start it off this way: is that if you want to be a premium provider, you have to look the part.
Yeah.
So I was watching a video the other day. Colin Knox, who was with Passportal and sold out of Passportal, now he's got a new gig. I think Gradient MSP going now. He during our IT Matters days, he was our service manager. And so I was watching a video of his the other day on YouTube, and he actually said something very, very brilliant. If you want to be perceived as a premium brand, you have to use and consume premium brands.
Yeah.
So you can't position yourself as a premium MSP in Chicago and then show up in, your 1976 Pinto. People won't take you seriously, or just show up with, MSPs that again, being locked in the house, I haven't seen it much lately, but a lot of them have those polo shirts, and actually Tony and I got into a heated debate in our MSP days, but he wanted to go cheap and get these polo shirts made and we bought them. And after a few washes, the logo shriveled up and the collars got all wrinkled. I can't send texts out to a investment banking firm with that, right?
Yeah.
Let's go get Land's End or some very good quality material and do that, right? So if you want to be a premium MSP, you have to play the premium part. That means everything from your website to the marketing materials that you produce all have to be top notch, right? You can't just go get the Redheads, flyer and plaster your logo on it and play the premium part. It may work for some, but if you want to get the attention of the CEO of that 50-person oil and gas company, you need to. Here's what I learned from my MS, because we were oil and gas focused, right? Here's what I learned: if I wanted to go after a 50-person oil and gas company, I had to go and be a member of where these people went. So I joined the Calgary Petroleum Club.
Yeah.
In Toronto, we became part of the Toronto Club. We joined all these organizations where our target audience went to. We went to where they went to. We didn't sit back. Here's what MSPs do, right? They hire a marketing company like us, right? And then immediately they think, oh, Ulistic's going to get me a gusher of leads. I don't have to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
And sure, that's what we shoot for, but that's not reality, unfortunately. So I always coach them up, say, you have to go where you have to go with your clients are. If they're bankers, you got to find out where the banking community goes, or do things, or be at their trade shows and their conferences and all these things. You got to, as Wayne Gretzky says, skate where the puck's going to be, not where it is now, right? So that's the number one thing I would recommend to them is to, if you want to get into the premier space, then be the premier firm. And then you have to charge accordingly. Now, I don't know what those rates are because I'm not a guy that figures that out, but you can look at, what your top, you can look at what the top MSPs in your area are charging and kind of replicate that.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it's $200 a machine or whatever.
Then you have to provide the premier service. There's a reason why, some people fly business class and some people fly coach. And then why some people fly by their own airplanes, they buy their own planes, right? Because they want that experience. Like, so if you're gonna play in that space, you gotta provide that level of I would call it almost like an exclusive service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they feel like, the VIP, like they're calling
VIP experience. Yeah, for sure.
It's consistent. I mean, yeah.
It's painful. Tell me, like Ulistic, been around, like I said, around for 11 years now. I say no to more people now than I say yes to.
Yeah.
And because I'm only looking for 4 or 5 clients a year now, Eric. Mm-hmm. I want those clients. I told them earlier, want to have an appreciation for marketing and sales, and understand the power of it. 2, they hire professionals and let the professionals do their job.
Yeah.
The ones that get in there and meddle with us, go somewhere else, become a client somewhere else. And then number 3 is we charge a premium. You're not going to get the $250 website from us.
What's your ideal client right now? So I mean, how many? What's their annual revenue? How many people do they have on board? Are they targeting 5 to 50 users, more than 50 users, organizations? Like what are the commonalities among your best clients?
So I would say, if I look at it, I'll answer your question 2 ways. First one, I was going to ask who our ideal client is. Really for me, it's mindset. It's not size or revenue.
Right.
So I can get a small MSP that's 3 or 4 people, but understands they want to grow to 20 or 30 and understand they have to do marketing to get there, and they understand the importance of that. But I would say, if I had to take a cross section of our clients, the majority of the ones that are doing well, at least, are on the low end probably about $1 million in recurring revenue, to the high end, on average about 5 million. We have some that are higher than that. We have some that are lower than that. They have it's an owner-led initiative, and they may have a VP of business development who understand that they're better salespeople than they are marketing people. What we really try to avoid now is, and we've had a few disastrous experiences in this world, is we thought we could pull off like some sort of co-managed service where we work with internal marketing people.
Yeah.
That ends up, we have, and like, don't get me wrong, not everyone's bad. There are a couple of good ones out there, but most of them end up being this way, is that they see us as a threat because they don't want to have their weaknesses exposed. What they should be looking at is, Ulistic is going to make me look really, really good to my boss because they bring all these strengths that I don't have.
Yeah.
So the couple that we have, that's the way it goes. The other ones that are a little bit more disastrous are the ones that kind of put up too many defenses. We actually were going to fire one client. He beat us to it and fired us, which was happy. I was happy to see it go. And he hired an internal marketing person that ended up being a disaster for us. But our best relationships are the ones where, we're working with an owner or some sort of business development manager. And I also, also the best ones is it's not leadership by committee. One person makes a decision.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's so important to have someone take ownership of things. And yeah, the companies that tend to be humming and hawing about, I need to check with this person. It's like, no, it's like, this is the sales, and operations takes over once we sign the deal, like sort of thing. Yeah.
If you're going to power your VP of business development to make decisions, then empower them to make the decision.
And do you stop at lead gen?
Or empower me to make the decision.
Do you stop at lead gen? Is that the end of your business, or do you help them after the lead is generated and they're in the sales process, with like sort of coaching on how to close the deal or anything? Where do you stop?
Well, we can coach on sales, the sales process, because usually what happens Usually what happens, Eric, and it's not really the true measurement of success for us, but this is how we get measured. At the end of the year, the MSP looks and says, okay, from marketing, I closed one deal. But what they fail to realize, they had 25 qualified prospects and they didn't close 24 of them.
Yeah.
Or we get lumped into that one closed deal when they didn't, but they failed to realize the 24 they didn't get. So that's just the way we have to come to reality. That's how we're going to get measured. So we help out, wherever we need to with the sales. So creating the materials that they need, brochures, flyers, coaching if needed. Here's the biggest problem that MSPs have, and the biggest weakness I see is people make decisions based on other people's experiences now. So everybody that goes through the Ulistic sales process gets a chance to talk to 2 or 3 of my clients, even if I give them the opportunity to, even if they ask for it or not.
Yeah.
Because I want them to share the experience of how they work with us, right? But most MSPs don't have adequate amount of social proof. And that's one of the things I think that was one of the contributing factors to our success, was that every client that I talked to, we had case studies and marketing materials created on how we help them. At IT Matters, we won the Microsoft Partner of the Year in Canada for our work with Good Earth Cafes in the 2000s, and we exploited that. We actually went to market where we had Microsoft paid for the coffee mugs, and Good Earth Cafe gave us a pound of coffee to put in every one, and we sent it out as a wow package to new prospects. Not just a Starbucks card with a $5 Starbucks card. This is actually a pound of coffee with a coffee mug, right? It went over really well. But we've focused on making sure that people that were dealing with us knew that we had success in the marketplace. And the other thing, my thoughts are kind of all over the place. This usually what happens when I get on a call like this. The other thing that made IT Matters successful back in the day, and this is another thing that most MSPs get a failing grade on, is I took the time to kind of what we're doing right now, network or joint venture with like-minded people that sold into the same industry that I was going after. So in the IT Matters days, I would go to a company called AccuMap, for example. They produced a mapping application that allowed oil and gas professionals to see the ground formations under the surface of the ground, so they could see if oil was there. So I went to all the salespeople at AccuMap and I bought them lunch. I still remember, went to the boardroom, I bought them lunch, and I gave a 45-minute presentation on what IT Matters did. So that when they're sitting there, talking to a prospect, and the prospect says, I would love to get this, but my network is bad and it's not performing as well. They say, well, hey, call these guys at IT Matters. They understand our product and they understand how to make sure that your systems are running properly. And we got so much business from referrals that way. So we networked with people that sold into the same space. And I asked the VP of sales at AccuMap, I said, would you mind if I offered a spiff to your salespeople? He said, oh, go ahead. Whatever. If you want to pay them for getting a lead. So I paid them $250 a lead.
Yeah.
Gave them a little bit of a spiff. You think they're going to refer me over to my competitors now? Oh, because they're going to get paid by referring us. Now, $250 might be a little high for you, but for us, that seemed to be the formula that worked for us.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so do you recommend that MSPs sort of zone in on the specific, if they want to be in legal, target mostly law firms and gear their marketing towards that? If they want to be in medical, gear towards that. If they want to be in, automotive repair, gear towards that. Do you recommend that they define which industries they want to provide support to? Or is it better to be a generalist MSP that's open to working with all different companies?
So if you asked me that question a year ago, I would have said very much be, I'm not a generalist, but a specialist in a certain industry.
Yeah.
Year later, with all the stuff from coronavirus, I would probably say have a specialty in 2 or 3 areas, and try to be a generalist. But say that you have a specialty in some areas, but take everything you can get right now. But our company really focused in on the oil and gas industry, but we were fortunate. So I don't know if you've ever been to Calgary.
Nope.
But Calgary is all the business happens downtown.
Okay.
I haven't been to another city that's quite focused on everything being in the downtown core. Toronto maybe in the financial sector be the closest comparison I would know. But in Calgary, everything was downtown. So we basically said, if we could walk to our client, that was a client for us.
Yeah.
We didn't try to be the biggest company in the whole world. We just wanted to rule a 10 square block radius of our office. And it worked out really well for us. It was a good play, but we became experts in the oil and gas industry. We knew all the players, we knew all the terminology.
Yeah.
I even sent our new hires to a course at the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology that focused on an introduction to the oil and gas industry.
Sure.
It was a day-long course, so people understood what the industry was, and because they all came in there with all these great street creds. I'm a Windows 2000 server or MSP. So what do you know about spudding wells? Oh, nothing. Well, you're going to go to this course and learn what a spudding a well means, right? So if a geologist is talking to you and he says that, you at least understand what he's talking about. Or our software applications that we support do that kind of stuff. We became experts in not experts in refining petroleum economics, but we understood petroleum economics to a certain level that we could support the applications. So I think that was very, if you're going to go all in a vertical, you have to go all in. You just can't wake up one morning and say, yeah, we're going to be in healthcare.
Yeah, I noticed this because I've got a similar, like you and I are both selling to MSPs essentially. And
that's all we do.
Yeah, exactly. And, I tried to get into software support, and it's a completely different thing because the way that the service interacts with the business is completely different, right?
Different world, different languages, different mannerisms, everything's different.
Yeah, even though it's the same industry, it's just a different, yeah. It's like lawyers and police, as different as those two, So there is something to be said for getting really specific on what you're offering, because I feel like when I'm in the sales calls now, I've done hundreds of these things, and I've got a crystal ball pretty much. I know what they're going to ask, and I know what answer. And when you get into something that's a little bit outside of what you're used to dealing with, you have to stop and think about it, and that makes you appear less confident.
But I'm not a legal expert, so don't ask me to write blogs about law. I mean, I know IT, so I can write a blog about IT without
exactly.
Put much thought to it. Yeah.
Exactly. But it's just like, so these MSPs are great clients to focus in on. And I think, okay, you said you knew the petroleum industry, and that's great. And I can imagine that, it's so easy because you're an insider on that industry. It's so easy for the companies to refer you to each other if they know each other, and because they view you as an insider because you talk shop with them, the lingo, the programs they use, their profit cycles and all that stuff.
Well, I'll put it this way, Eric. I did all the stuff that no other MSP would even think about doing. So another example would be, every year the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers would have an investor forum at the Metropolitan Inn in Calgary. And I would volunteer with my clients to go and just hang out there. So when Peter Williams from Krang Energy was doing his investor pitch, I was in the audience there just in case Peter's laptop didn't work with the projector. And he can motion over to me and say, hey, motion over, and I would come over and do all the whatever I needed to do to get it working on the projector and made him look good, right? But here's the benefit that came out of that. So I would do a couple of minutes of work, and I wouldn't charge the client for that. I was just there because probably being in such a small location and working with high concentration of clients, I had dozens of clients there that day, right? So what happens is they end up talking in the hallway. Oh, and I would walk in. Peter, hey, how you doing? Hey, Stuart, thanks for taking care of that for me. By the way, meet John, my friend. He's the CEO of another oil and gas company. I just told him to call you tomorrow. Great, thank you.
Definitely beats going to a conference cold, and even like I like going to conferences if they have that database of people who are going to be there before, and you can like get in touch before and set up like a 5-10 minute chat. But otherwise, if you're just hanging out at the bar or cafe or whatever it is, it can be pretty random. But if you know people who are already there who think highly of you, that's a winning formula.
Well, I do that same thing today. I'll probably gonna get barred from doing this now because I'm gonna admit to it publicly on your podcast. But I go to IT Nation.
Yeah, sure.
No, they want $25,000-$30,000 for a booth.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money for me, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I do? I go to the bar. It's in a hotel, public place, right? A hotel.
Yeah.
And I send an email out to all my clients, say, I'm buying drinks at the bar at 4:00. Come by and see me.
Boom.
And they, when I get 12 or 13 people there, and they end up bringing some other people that I know, and I end up, we end up having some Scotch cigars and stuff at the end of the night. And it's great. I spend $500 at the bar versus $25,000 at the booth and get the same result, right? So what's the point of this talk is, you have to position yourself where your clients are. I don't know how many MSPs spend thousands of dollars a year on going to every single MSP conference. Mm-hmm. When we were able to fly and go to conferences, people going every month to this. Every conference they're going to, every month they were spending money to go to these MSP conferences. And if you ask them, hey, put a $5,000 out to go to this dental conference and put a booth there, it was like trying to,
pull teeth.
Take away their firstborn child, right? But you sit back and wonder, why am I not growing?
So how do you suggest MSPs build a good referral culture?
Do good service.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
First, that's the thing is the best referrals people are going to automatically refer you if you provide great service to them.
Of course they are.
You don't even have to ask; they are automatically going to do that. They're going to be so thrilled with your service that you don't even have to ask for referrals.
And like I was through this journey with a client of mine last year, and he gave me a client from one of his MSP peer groups, and they turned out to be a great client. And I was thinking, like, should I give him a discount on the bill or something like that? And I ended up being like, no, he's not going to feel that. It's a business, like what's going to reach him out of that, eventually somehow. But instead, I just got a, $150 Whole Foods gift card and sent it to him. And he's like, it was great. I just gave it to my wife and we had, great food, it was awesome.
Yeah. Perfect. I do the same thing. If I know one of my clients is a huge New York Jets fan, I'll go on StubHub and I'll buy 50 yard line tickets for him and his and two tickets, and then send them and say, hey, as a token of my appreciation, here's take your son or a friend to the next Jets game. What that creates? That creates a memory. Mm-hmm. They're going to forget about the discount. They're going to forget about the discount, but they'll always remember that football game.
Discount. The accounting department is going to see it, and they're going to just, okay, that's a discount, whatever. The profit's going to go up by that amount for the month. Like, who cares? But yeah, a memory, and an experience, and all of that, and it's just building. It's more about the feeling. Getting back to the beginning of the conversation, create a feeling with your clients, create a trust, a rapport. So. Exactly. What's the best
here's
way?
What I learned. Here's what I learned, Eric, is that people don't care how much you know until they realize how much you care.
Exactly. And so say you're an MSP and you get a lead and they're really not happy with their current IT provider. It could be because they've made some bad recommendations of technology. It could be because they're not calling back, balls are getting dropped. It could be just because whatever. How much should an MSP do for free to get their foot in the door? Because some companies will go in and do a full one-day engineer on-site audit of the systems and make recommendations. And some people will just be like, well, you know what? Sign up with us and we'll take care of everything. And that's the pitch. So how much should a MSP do for free in terms of scoping the client and making recommendations?
So good question. So I have clients that are kind of on both sides of the spectrum. Some offer the first 60 days of service for free. no questions asked. Some people don't give any discounts. And I don't think there's a direct correlation one way or the other to the overall, how many net new clients they get.
Okay.
So I would say this, I'm a big fan of not giving away too much for free. If you want me to come and do a network audit, then sign up as a client. I got all my social proof here, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do a good job. And if you don't like what I do, in the first 30 days, cancel with no questions asked. Just cancel. If
That's
you don't
what
like
we
us,
do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just cancel. There's no risk.
Have a couple conversations, and you should be so on point in those conversations, so empathetic to their needs, and so sort of just to the point of what you can provide as value and what might not be right in the current arrangement that they have with their current provider, and let that speak for itself and let them take the next steps.
Yeah. Here's my recommendation is just be you, be natural, right? Don't be corporate guy, right? Be natural. It's I'm like that when I'm courting a new prospect. I'm sharing. I got feedback yesterday from a couple clients on. They got 2 leads from their LinkedIn prospecting, and one guy emailed me last night and said, "Thanks for being part of the team." Right? I just send those things over to new prospects. This is what you're going to get with us, right?
Yeah.
Like I have. I've been doing this for way too long now, Eric. I'm probably closer to retirement than I am now to when my starting off years, right? But I look at it this way: I made all those mistakes at the beginning, and my mentors and coaches along the way, taught me a lot of valuable lessons, and a lot of people. I'm just me. I speak without a filter. Once you get to know me, I will tell you what I think and what's on my mind.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with everybody? No, of course not. People are not going to like me, and I've come to realize that not everybody's going to like me, right?
Yeah.
People are going to listen to this podcast and go, "How do you have that goofball Stuart Crawford on that podcast?" Right? He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Exactly.
Then people are going to say, "Stuart Crawford, he's the smartest guy in the world," right?
It's all about giving them that chance to actually make a connection, and that's why video is so powerful. That's why you need to get yourself out there. You need to be attuned to your industry. You need to be in the places where people are talking to each other, so they can talk about you. And
here's what I can guarantee to people when they work with us: you're not going to get another company that cares as much about your success as we do. Are we going to get it right every time? No, but we're going to work really, really hard to get it right.
And you've got lots of experience, and you've evolved everything you're doing over years.
Yeah, exactly. And if something's crazy, I will tell you. If something's a great idea, I will tell you that. We had a call just before I got on the call with you today. One of the guys brought up an idea. Well, that's a really good idea. I never even thought about that, right? So that's just, we're very open to having dialogue and collaboration with our clients. And do we know everything? No, but not everybody. You can't. It's impossible to know everything. But what I do know, I'm pretty darn good at what I do know. I take the time to invest in our betterment of the services that we do provide. Do I know everything? No, it's impossible. Do I know everything about streaming audio advertising? Nope, but I'll learn it. Right.
All right. So just one last question, I think, from my side. What's the biggest mistake that you see MSPs making in the way that they're marketing themselves?
Oh, geez.
Or what are the top 3? I don't know.
Top 3 mistakes. Number 1 is I go back to just not enough social proof.
Yeah.
Not enough. Not going after. Not leveraging your existing client relationships to help you sell more services.
Yeah.
Number 2, this is more technical based, is just putting up a website that you can get from any one of these website providers for a couple $100 a month, and thinking that's going to be, that's going to separate you from everybody else. Your website has to be an extension of your culture. And number 3 is not investing the time to build strong social media followings. And that kind of ties in with, that's social media now, and this is not new. It's been this way for a number of years. Social media is the extension to your business networking. I can't get over how many MSPs will go to BNI and chambers of commerce meetings and stuff like that, meet people and not connect with them on social media.
I mean, I found you on Reddit, so that says a lot. And that
Well,
we're
that's
both
right.
there.
So Reddit's a social platform, right? Get involved,
Yeah.
get involved in your local business forums, like get into your, local small business groups and just be a resource and offer advice and opinions and, let people find you on there. That I believe, that's an area that MSPs and sales professionals need to invest a lot more time in.
And okay, so for MSPs, B2B advertising, what's the best platform right now?
SEO.
What's that? I haven't heard of it.
Search engine optimization. Get found on Google.
SEO. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear it correctly. So SEO. All right. So your IT support Toronto, you're the #1 result, and basically.
That's where you're going to get the majority of your good qualified leads now, being found on Google.
What kind of articles should they be writing?
LinkedIn is second.
So it's like most of the SEO results are coming from like blog posts and getting content creators to sort of write stuff that's going to get Google to notice your site. Is that
and having a strong person like me understand the technical side of SEO so we can get pages to rank.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah, SEO and basically tying it into the local community somehow.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's how you rank locally, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of other technical details that go into that, but SEO, making sure that your website has clear calls to action so you convert those visitors to prospects, and then having a strategy like a good SEO strategy or social media strategy to drive that traffic to your website.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, and it's emerging to the point where we have a full service around it now. LinkedIn is a powerful tool to prospect.
Right. Yes, definitely. We use it, and yeah, and it's really good to find out who you are going to be talking to. But then getting those people's attention, that's always the challenge. So if they come across you on SEO, I mean, we've done some stuff with remarketing where like the ad follows them around once they've been to our website once and all that stuff. I mean, it's all pretty good, but we haven't had great success. I mean, it's not for MSPs, but marketing to MSPs using like paid Google ads that pop up in search results. That hasn't been amazing, but you have to have a full. I think the most important thing is that when somebody gets in your content, there's a whole ecosystem of content that gives them stuff that's intriguing and shows who you are, and they can decide if they like it or not and get in touch with you.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing that we have to summarize on is that there's a number of different things from a marketing perspective that you need to be doing. SEO and social and LinkedIn and retargeting and networking, those are all just parts of the equation. I'll wrap up with this story, Eric, is that we had a client I won't disclose the location, but in the southern part of the US, just emailed me and said, we just closed a $13,000 a month managed service contract. The lead came from us being involved in a local business group. You reached out to them on LinkedIn and made a connection with them. And then it went into our sales email funnel. And then with your coaching, we kept in touch with them. And it was the formula of all the equations that helped them close that deal.
Yep.
But they were members of a group. They got it connected on LinkedIn. And it built from there.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, it can take a while, but if you enter someone's mind in the right way and you stay in there, keep reminding them you're there, then if it's meant to happen, it will happen. They'll come to you and you'll close that deal.
The longest lead I worked was 6 years.
Wow.
6 years after working, they finally signed an agreement with us. And you know what? Most people would have gave up after the first or second try. But your leads, your meetings and your deals are going to come in after 7 to 12 touches.
Definitely. And
most people quit after the first.
All right, Stuart. Well, thanks a lot.
What does that tell you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, thanks a lot for all these tips. I mean, I think it's wonderful that you're so focused on helping MSPs doing this from the perspective of someone who was, owning an MSP, and basically just like it's amazing that you can offer that perspective to people who there's so much potential for growth if people are doing it the right way. And my biggest takeaway from this is that they're doing it the wrong way, and that they're just sort of hobbling along when they could do it. And this is essentially the same stuff, you know, go big or go home, get past that level where, you know, you've got everything optimized in a sales funnel that's working, and you need more and more, you know, you have a structure to take on more clients and all that stuff. So thanks a lot for the insights today. And we're going to put the info to your company in the description so they can get a hold of you. And yeah.
And the last tip, just a reminder before we sign off, is you need to change your mindset to being a marketing and sales company first, what you do second.
Exactly. I mean, obviously the operations also, I'm an operations guy. So obviously those have to be in order as well. So people have the great service that are going to make them want to tell other people about your service. But yeah, I mean, it all starts.
It's a circle.
It's a circle. And it's like you need four tires to drive your car, you know, like.
Yep. Yeah, with good marketing and sales will bring in new clients for the operations team to work on. Great service will bring in referrals that get more leads and close more business.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks a lot, Stuart. I very much enjoyed this chat, and yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I wish you again sometime soon. It's fantastic, and good luck to all the people listening to us, Eric, on the MSP Mountain podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we're just getting this going, and I think it's going to be very interesting to bring the contrasting and complementary perspectives of the industry together.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks a lot.